I want to talk to you now about a very serious issue, actually. Buy now, pay later, because apparently nearly 3 million households earn, £2.7 billion when it comes to these deals. The Labour Party now are basically coming out talking tough, saying that we need to regulate this industry a lot more when it comes to things like credit checks and all the rest of it. Well, regulating this industry has been going on for a long time, and there's been a lot of consultations about it as well, and nothing really has happened. Do you agree now that it is time to get a hold of these things, do things like your credit checks and all the rest of it?
Yes, I think it is. We do have a problem with problem lenders, and I think we can look at it that way around when we're talking about regulation. There are a lot of people that are in too much debt for how much money that they've got coming in. And so I think things like capping the maximum amount that you can pay back, so you can never pay back more than the principal that you pay, capping the interest rates that you are legally allowed to take people for monthly, to deal with the payday lending thing, it would be an important set of reforms and should be, that's the sort of regulation we need. Now, that doesn't mean stopping anybody from having a, buy now, pay later. For loads of people, that's absolutely fine. But for those who it isn't and would be adding to their debt pressures down the line, some regulation to stop problem lending would be a good thing.
You can't mean a rule that says you can't pay back more than the principal, because that would mean no interest at all.
Sorry, no, the interest not being, say, double the principal.
So some X of
the principal.
Right.
Yeah.
Where do you stand in terms of credit checking?
Well, the businesses are entitled to run credit checks to make sure they're not going to lose money on things, but I don't think the government should pass a law that requires burdensome credit checks to be run in all cases, when, as James rightly says, the majority of people using these services do it because they want to and they enjoy it. I mean, let's put names to it so people know what we're talking about. It's things like Klarna or Pay Later with the number 8 in it. These services are used by millions of people, go cardless, people watching this show. Indeed, PayPal as a buy now, pay later provider in the UK. I mean, these are millions of people use it, and to your point, I didn't quite take in the figures that you were giving, but for millions of users, whatever it was, 2.7 billion or whatever.
I think it's about 1 in 8 adults.
Right, so 2.7 billion spread across the whole country, or 1 in 8 of us, is not very much money. And the point is the vast majority of that will get cleared off month to month. The reason the businesses carry on is that the people then go out and take another one. And they do that because they want to.
Let me ask you this, right? Because, yes, I know that a small percentage of these people, so like here it says, we're looking at some figures here. It says among the 19% who said that they'd use these services to pay for essentials, the items covered include groceries, toiletries, bills and fuel, whatever. So that's like less than 20% of the people, which means they're 80% there or thereabouts. These are not people that are poverty-stricken people that are trying to buy, I don't know, a sausage and mash for tea or whatever. It's people that are splurging, in some cases, on things that they perhaps don't need. And one of the things that I perhaps worry about is, you talk about things like Klarna and stuff like that. A lot of these services are now embedded at checkouts online. Yeah. So, like, when you go shopping, the sales are on, I'll have that dress, this dress, whatever. In the basket it goes. And then it's almost just like, it's like, I'll whip my card out. Actually, no, I won't. I'll stick it on there. And it's now just in people's psyche. And it used to be, James, that you bought something once you'd saved up and you could afford it. And now it's the opposite way around. It's like, I don't need to save up, I can just get it now and get all the gratification now and then worry about the cost afterwards. I don't think that's a very healthy attitude.
Well, it depends, and we should be clear that some change to this isn't going to deal with the fact that there's a squeeze in people's living standards and too many people don't have enough to get by, and tweaking this around the edges isn't going to make a difference. And I think, but for plenty of people, the ability to buy now and pay later, so you don't have to save up for something, is one of the benefits of having a well-working financial system. But for some people, they can fall into really bad problems with it, which is why I think some kinds of reforms, like maximum interest rates, like you can only have to pay back a certain times the amount that you borrowed. So, if you borrow 100 quid to get through the week and you end up paying £1,000, clearly that's exploitative and that's bad and that shouldn't exist. But if you want to buy, I don't know, your iPad there and you want to pay it over 24 months of instalments rather than all in one go, I mean, that's absolutely fine. So I think any we should bring in, this is a real issue, so policies should be brought in for it, but they should target what the real problem is, which is some people can be exploited, and efforts should be put in place to prevent that.
No offence, Michelle, I'm not so worried about buy now, pay later. I'm more worried about you, because when you say people shouldn't do this financially...
A few people have told me that before.
They shouldn't do this financially, they shouldn't do that financially. You're entitled to your moral position, and indeed you're entitled to think that's good advice. But you shouldn't be in the business of telling other people what they can and can't do. And that tendency is far more worrying to me than what provision people get on buy now, pay later.
From Auntie Michelle would do people a lot of good.
Well, thank goodness you're not government, Michelle, would be the point. So I'm agreeing.
To me, at least twice a person, I look my audience square in the eye and I always say, you are very lucky I'm not in charge of the country. You are,
Amen.
But... no, actually, I think a lot more people in society do need to be told you shouldn't buy that because you haven't got the funds to buy it. If you choose to listen to me, then that's up to you. And if you choose to go, well, stuff here, I'm going to get what I want, that's also up to you.
But the point is, people are entitled to go into debt, knowingly and by choice. And indeed, in this country, we encourage millions of people to do it with the most important investment they ever make, which is their house.
True.
Right? So once we accept that that's a principle that people can do it, why can't they do it for a dress or for whatever it is? So, once you start going down this road of telling people what they can and can't do, very quickly the nanny state will tell us what you can and can't drink, what you can and can't smoke, what you should be doing with your leisure time, and that's... So you're entitled to your friendly advice, Michelle, as long as it stops there.
I think that's a big stretch, giving people, kind of financial advice. Because one of the things I think at schools, I don't think they teach financial literacy.
Oh, I agree with that.
I don't think that a lot of kids, you say to people, if you want to buy your 10 dresses, buy it, don't listen to Michelle. But I would actually say that a lot of people don't really understand simple things like compound interest and things. They don't really know what they're getting into.
Buy it knowing that you're going to pay more in the end than you would have done if you'd paid up front. But you know what? The majority of people in this country who are either house owners or aspire to be willingly go into a situation where they pay tens of thousands of pounds more for the house that they get because they need a mortgage for it. And, if that's the predicate in which our system is built, it feels rather hollow in the end to get overly excited about buy now, pay later.
Yeah, but, what do you guys think to this at home? It's one thing stretching yourself and getting into debt for a home to live in, stretching yourself and getting into debt so that you can look like the latest daft Kardashian or whatever it is. Again, free society, do what you want.